Walking in the trackless wastes of southwest Tasmania in the Port Davey region. Leaving the Cambridge airport near Hobart, we fly across to the southwest of the state and land at the Melaleuca airstrip. Now we have a glimpse of the airstrip on Melaleuca Lagoon. Port Davey, with the Celery Top Islands and Mount Rugby dominating the scene. Approaching the airstrip, that was originally built privately by Denny King to reduce the remoteness of the area for him and his family when he was working a tin mine there in the 1940s and 50s. You can read about it in various books such as King of the Wilderness, The Life of Denny King. I'll put a link down below.
Road we wander, all lead up yonder, we must be climbing happy standing still. Always winding, keep on reminding there's happiness over the hill.
We get on a boat and go up Moth Creek into Port Davey past the Celery Top Islands.
No worries. That's great.
Now it's into Port Davey proper, through the Narrows, and we get dropped off at lonely Schooner Cove. Now approaching Schooner Cove, my drop-off point. That white thing there isn't a piece of rubbish, it's a white rock. Goodbye to the last people I'll see for the next 10 days. It's interesting to see what places are really like after looking at them on Google Earth while planning the trip. and I'll have to work out how to get out of here. All the things I need are in this small pack, and I got it down to 8 kilograms. After we looked around Schooner Cove for a while, we went up this ridge and across to this other little cove that looked so interesting on Google Earth, but it was quite steep getting there. And there we are, another tidal beach. These places are very quiet and actually quite depressing. And I think this is the right way to go to leave this little cove. Then on over the top of the range down to Hannett Inlet. Getting up higher, it's starting to look quite pretty, and we can see the entrance to Port Davey. It's very lumpy ground and not that easy to walk over. I've just come over the saddle and we're greeted with this view. There we have Hannett Inlet, and I'm going to walk along Hannett Inlet and hopefully get to the beach where you can see the sand dunes in the background. Okay, here's a little selfie test. The selfies didn't go too well because of the wind. Here we are down at Hannett Inlet. When it rained, I slept in this cave. Very nice, with a lovely water view out the window. We followed the coastline down Hannett Inlet and crossed one of our first reasonably large rivers. Sometimes you can get across by walking out into the inlet for a while. Other times you have to swim them. Continuing along the coastline of Hannett Inlet, we bush bash and get out into the sand dunes. A view of Southwest Cape at the very right-hand edge of the frame. Taking a little day trip to Spain Bay. A few days are taken exploring this area. The relentless wind has exposed millions of shells and bone fragments that just seem to keep coming out of the sand. And now to get back, we have to go across 17 kilometres of trackless wilderness. This requires going over the Southwest Cape Range, the Pasco Range and down into the Horseshoe Swamp, along Horseshoe Inlet, and then hopefully meet up with a Port Davey track back to the relative civilisation of Melaleuca. The sand dunes there, it's taken 10 hours to get from there to here. Well, it's taken me 7 hours to get from those sand dunes to where I am now, almost to the top of the South West Cape Range. A view from the Southwest Cape Range and what it's like to be in the valley between the Southwest Cape Range and the Pasco Range. If you went into one of these forests, I don't think you'd ever come out. You'd end up quite mad. There's something terribly evil about them. Dark, dank, quiet, and no life. They're not of this world. A rainbow from the top of the Pasco Range, where it's blowing about 100 miles an hour. And in the other direction, Horseshoe Inlet. Leaving Horseshoe Inlet with more of those depressing sort of beaches. There's something very disquieting about this area, but it keeps calling you back, as if it wants you to keep participating in a reoccurring nightmare. Down the Port Davey track that does look much the same on Google Earth as it really is. Then on to Melaleuca for some relatively luxury accommodation.